Hello everyone. Welcome to the very first edition of Johnny NASCAR. This channel will be dedicated mainly to NASCAR betting, but as I possibly expand, maybe not, we'll see, depending upon the feedback from the first 3 to 5 viewers of this video. We'll be able to go into other betting content that I would have as well. So, how I got the name, I just have my picket tag for my NASCAR bets as Johnny NASCAR, so that's what we're going with. This year has been pretty successful for me. Right now, up a little over $7,000. Would have to get a bit funky with the math with my units just because I have been scaling up as the year goes on. I think I started the year either at $50 or $75 for my unit. Right now I'm at a $150 unit, so part of that has been thanks to the profitability of betting NASCAR for myself, as well as following another capper, Dale Tanhart, who I will always 100% recommend as someone else to follow. A lot of my, well, I wouldn't say a lot because I try and keep my card at least relatively, not different, but try and keep the bets so I don't overload on one guy or one prop or one outright. And that way, I have my side, but a lot of times I agree with Dale. Or I'll even have my bet sometimes before him. He usually waits till later in the week before he starts betting. I'm trying to get out there as soon as the lines open on Mondays, Tuesdays, as soon as props usually come up on Wednesdays for the Cup, and even Xfinity actually came out today as well. So, yeah, but I would wholeheartedly recommend him. And again, partially my unit size increase has been NASCAR's success. Partially has also been my success in other EV Plus betting, specifically with Sharp Money. So I actually have an affiliate link for Sharp Money down in the, bio, whatever, comment below. I don't really know how YouTube works. I've never posted a video before, and I don't really watch too many videos, so I don't know where the link goes, but it'll be below somewhere. It'll be easy to find. I'll figure that out once I post this. But Sharp Money is an EV Plus betting service. It's a Discord. It's the best out there. Turned me from a losing bettor into a very profitable bettor. You can see all my history on Picket, so you can see where I did not start so well, and this year has been majorly successful, really up above 20K. So again, some of that was NASCAR, but a lot of it has also been Sharp Money. So you get in that Discord, and if you don't know a lot about EV Plus betting, just join the Discord, and you'll be able to get a lot of information from a bunch of guys that are a lot smarter than me, that have set up the bots that help find these EV bets. And I don't want to trail off too much into it, but yeah, you get access to that. You get access to a promo team that helps you utilize your promos from sportsbooks in an effective manner. You get access to a community of other profitable bettors, and really a wealth of knowledge that only helps you continue to become a better bettor if you want to not just focus on NASCAR, but focus on all sports. So again, the link's in there. I have a promo code. I'll share that as well, JR100. You can use that to get your first month free if you're not a member yet. So really take advantage of that, and it's helped me build my bankroll so I can fund what I really like doing, which is betting on NASCAR here. So I think that is what I wanted to cover with my intro. I had to write it down because it took me a little while. I'm a bit of a perfectionist here, but at this point, I gotta do this all in one take because I'm not that great at editing. Again, depending upon, how much time I have available, how successful this is, I would love to increase the production value, but right now my background is my living room, and we're gonna do this all in one take. So if you can, when you do watch this, please like, comment, subscribe. I think that's the 3 words I'm supposed to tell you guys to do. Any feedback will be helpful, so really appreciate it. Now, let's get into the Enjoy Illinois 300. This will be mainly about the Cup card. I'll have some Xfinity content at the end, but Xfinity, a new track, not as big of a field of contenders. I don't want to harp too much on it because I would like to wait more so till after practice to really get honed in on what that card will look like. But like I said, the lines were released today. I actually already have one guy that I'm targeting really heavy, looking at a couple others, but I don't want to put too much out there with it being a basically brand new track for Xfinity here. So with that said, we can start with the three favorites that are going to be, main contenders, getting a lot of the action here. So Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, and Denny Hamlin. So those are the three main guys that are going to be, well, they already are marked as the favorites with the books. And so, these guys are going to be at the front of the field, no doubt about it. They're going to be contending for the win. Ryan Blaney, I actually watched. It was really nice to have Labor Day, have that day off, had some time. I was actually able to do something I rarely get to do, which is watch the previous year's races. So I actually was able to rewatch 2024 and 2023. And 2024 was actually a really good race. I don't know if it's... I don't know if I can say it's underrated. I have to look back at, maybe Jeff Gluck's good race poll, see what people thought of it. And Worldwide Technology Raceway, Gateway, as it's known previously, it's not one of the NASCAR classic tracks. We've only been going there since the next gen started in 2022 for Cup. So it's not, I think, it's not a circle date on the calendar like your last week race, Darlington, which is obviously a crown jewel with the Southern 500, or Charlotte, or even some of the other tracks that have such rich history like Talladega, like Bristol, like Martinsville. But the race last year was really good. So, you had a long green flag run at the end there, and Penske all had really great cars. Blaney was up there. Cindric was up there all day in the top 5, and Joey Logano was hanging out top 5, top 7. And they all actually went for a 3-stop strategy, and it really set up the final run where Blaney and Cindric were 1-2, I believe. Bell ended up doing, I think, a four-stop strategy, and so he was able to pit later and long green flag run the last 50 laps. I mean, Christopher Bell was running Blaney down, and they had a really good battle for 10, 15 laps. Bell was able to get by Blaney. Blaney was able to get back by Bell. Really something that, unfortunately, you don't see too much with the next-gen car, but discussion for a later time. And then Bell had the engine issues. So, after Bell has the engine issues, which also was really funny actually to watch because he was getting help on the straightaway by Truex, who had tire issues earlier in the race, and he was getting pushed down the stretch. So he still finished 7th, but really Bell had the best car, and he should have won that race. And a lot of people will say, well, Blaney should have won that race because obviously what happens next is Blaney comes to the white flag coming out of turn 4, and he's running out of fuel. Should not have run out of fuel. It was well inside the fuel window, but I guess they had a miscalculation on how much fuel they got in the car, and the rest, Cindric gets by him. Cindric wins. He opened up actually at 250-1, which I don't know if anyone had that. I mean, I'm assuming someone did, but if you had that ticket, wow, that is a big win. And yeah, so it was a really good race, had a lot of drama. And Gateway in itself, I think, is just, it lends itself better to the next-gen car because it's a multi-groove track. Now, I'm pretty sure in 2022 they had the sticky stuff, the PJ1 or whatever, and they put that down in the bottom lane, and I think it made it a one-lane track. I didn't get back to watching 2022. I only had so much time, but that's why I really wanted to hone in on 2024 and 2023. And so, again, 2023, Kyle Busch won that race. A lot of restarts at the end. Wasn't really a long green flag run. Went to overtime, but Kyle Busch got out in the last 40 laps, and he was able to hold off to a couple of restarts and win that race. So just going to go back through some of the contenders here. And so Ryan Blaney, again, he was in contention in 2022. He was actually dominant through most of the middle of the race in 2023. Lost some positions on pits, and you'll probably find that as a common theme for some of these guys that I have targeted is that, they lost track position. And what I really wanted to see in some of these races is, who was losing track position and then who was able to gain it back. And at what portion of the race, obviously, they were doing this at. So, Ryan Blaney, he's going to be right up there. Christopher Bell as the two favorites. So, would have won 2024 without the fuel issues once Bell had the engine issues. And again, Bell, same thing. 2023, he started deeper in the field, worked his way up to around the top 10, had a slow pit stop, had to work his way back up. Was actually stuck in the 20s for a while. Couldn't really pass anyone. Looks like they made some adjustments, got back to the top 10, and then they spun out again. Car still worked well, was able to get back to 11th. So obviously was able to move throughout the field, but was hurt by some adversity, hurt by starting deeper in the field. And then again, 2024, the engine issue. And really this type of track is Bell's bread and butter. I mean, Phoenix will probably draw the closest comparisons, and obviously we've seen how well Bell runs there. Won the race obviously early in the year at Phoenix, was dominant for the second half of that race. So, and really Gibbs as a whole, this is kind of their type of track. So going back to the third favorite, Denny Hamlin, 2022 had the whole Ross Chastain ordeal, so was running, I believe, in the top 5 when he got Chastained right into the wall. So, but 2023, 2024, second place finishes. Again, 2023 had a top 5 car, kind of worked his way on restarts to that second place. And then 2024, again, top 5 car, obviously got the second place, but was aided by the troubles that the two leaders had in front. And so really, all these guys actually, when Caesars first opened, it was actually a really good opening lines for all three of them, especially Christopher Bell. He was at 8-1, and I was staring there, and I'm like, should I hit it? I'm like, I can't. I'm probably going to be kicking myself for not hitting that because I don't think he's better than 6-1 or maybe 13-2 anywhere. So, and I don't think we see that line again. I just think that he's gonna practice well, qualify well. So that's the one I really regret missing on. But you know what, we go from there. So yeah, those guys are going to be definitely the favorites. I don't think I'm going to play any of them before unless Denny Hamlin's kind of intriguing. I see some places he's gone back up to 7-1. I think you can get him. Let me do the quick math here. 15-2 plus 750. So I'm thinking about that. I think he's obviously been, one of the best drivers all year. Pretty clearly has the most wins. I think he has the most top 5s. Again, this track type is what Denny Hamlin's good at. I know it kind of races like an intermediate, kind of in between intermediate and short track, but Gibbs brings good card here, and Denny Hamlin's going to be in contention. So I'm still thinking about that 750. We'll see. See if I hit it before practice, but yeah, those three are going to be the favorites, and they already are by the prices on the books. Obviously, so a few other guys, and we mentioned them already, but Kyle Busch, top 5 car all day in 2023. Again, got the win. 2022, I'm pretty sure he was good too. Pretty sure he finished top 5, top 10. 2024, the RCR cars, and Austin Dillon actually had pretty fast car too, and I think he got the top 10 in last year as well. Was going to get to the top 10 in 2023 too. That was before he got dumped by Austin Cindric. Got, I think, left reared, or no, he got right reared. Wrecked in this Ricky Stenhouse. They both hit the wall, who actually had a really good day then as well. Was not really too notable in 2024, but Ricky Stenhouse had a really good day in 2023, had a top 10 car on speed, so obviously got taken out by that. But I think FanDuel right now has Ricky Stenhouse at 19-1, which if I could get money down there, I would probably put a couple tenths of a unit on that. I know obviously he's fallen off in the second half of the year, started off better, but this is a type of track again. We saw it with Darlington actually. I think it was 6 non-playoff drivers got into the top 10 for the finish, and I think this is another track where you'll see some non-playoff drivers get into the top 10, and I think some adversity can occur for a lot of guys. I mean, we've seen over the past couple of years here, brake failures, a little less in 2024 than there was in 2023, but 3 or 4 cars in 2023 had brake failures. Obviously, you're shifting a lot, so that can be, that can be an issue as well. You saw the engine issue with Bell, so there's a lot of opportunity for adversity, and obviously pit road again was a big story in Darlington, and it'll be a big story again at Gateway. Opposite reason, there's actually going to be less stops. I don't know if anyone's going to try a 3-stop opportunity with the tire that they're bringing. It should be a softer tire. It's the same one they ran at Iowa. So I don't know how many teams are going to opt for a 3-stop strategy or try and do 2 tires, which is another strategy that showed up a lot over the past couple of races. 2 tires can help you on a 20-lap, 30-lap run, but it definitely showed up later in the run if we do get a long green flag stretch. So we'll see if the tires, we'll see what the tires might bring, different conditions. But overall, yeah, so RCR, Kyle Busch, heading back to him. Again, top 10 speed in 2024 as well. Looking at his top 10 lines, there's a few places have him slightly above plus money. It's I don't know if the value, it's tough for me to say, because on one hand, with how good that RCR and Kyle Busch has been here, and we saw how good Austin Dillon was at Richmond, I'm tempted to put some money on that plus money. I feel like it should be a minus money odds for that top 10, and I know he just got the top 10 at Darlington, but I would like to see maybe more value or a better price there before I committed to that. So again, I think Austin Dillon has pretty good price for top 10s too. That one might be the better option actually, especially with him obviously being a playoff driver, their recent success at Richmond. I think RCR will obviously be focused on that car. But Kyle Busch, I think also may be a good play. Not being in the playoffs, not as much pressure. That team's just looking for a win, snap his winless streak from when he won back here in 2023. But again, top 10 might be a little too steep of a price, or, even at plus money. But maybe looking at his top 5 or a win could be good value. One issue, I think, and I have to double check this, but I'm pretty sure the qualifying order will be similar to Darlington, where all the playoff drivers go last. Having Kyle Busch go middle of the pack probably for qualifying, he definitely should be one of the better non-playoff drivers based on the formula, based on the metric. But this is the type of track where, and we saw at Darlington, the qualifying was really skewed towards the back half of the field, mainly the playoff drivers just ripping fast times. And this is a track that I think lends itself to that as well. With all the shifting that goes on, and we saw different cars have different shifting strategies going into the turns, going to third gear, and some qualifying runs in the past. And, if one driver in the middle of the pack finds something and qualifies a couple tenths faster than the 10 or 15 drivers going before them, everyone has that data. So they'll see that. Everyone's going to try and replicate it. And I can see this being another opportunity for playoff drivers to just absolutely occupy the top 10, top 15 with qualifying. And so that's why I'm like, maybe you can wait on Kyle Busch and then look at Austin Dillon's price is better. Maybe a top 10, maybe a top 5. I haven't seen anything that caught my eye yet, but these lines are always fluctuating, always moving. I still think a lot of money will go into Ryan Blaney and Christopher Bell, and maybe Denny Hamlin. And as we see, possibly a couple other contenders that I'll go through here in a second, getting more money put on them. Maybe that will be an opportunity. So next group I wanted to talk about was 2311. Yeah, they've had some fast cars recently. Bubba Wallace has probably been one of the best performers since Dover. That top 10, I think it was a 6th place finish, really put a jolt in that team. Obviously went to Indy, won the next week, but they've been contenders or in the mix or top 10 week after week. Even Iowa, where they got pushed into the wall and went like 3 laps down, and he came back and went from 30th to 6th on the final run. That's a team that's just hit its stride and is, I would say they're peaking at the right time. And then obviously his teammate Tyler Reddick is also someone that has had a lot of, I don't know, he just hasn't had as much speed as Bubba Wallace this year, which is strange. But he's been more consistent with his finishes, hasn't had as many DNFs as Bubba Wallace. And again, another team that, even though maybe not all the finishes demonstrate it, I mean, I look at Richmond where, he had top 3 car, really very easily could have been a contender at the end to win that race. And obviously got taken out when Suarez bumped Gibbs and, spun him out. That kind of ruined his whole race. Couldn't recover from that. Then obviously Darlington last week, unfortunately, I was on him pretty heavy, had a unit and a half on him, and I don't think he had the fastest car at the end. I think Eric Jones did have the best car at the end, but Tyler Reddick had the second best car at the end. Obviously getting behind Briscoe in the dirty air, and part of that is the next gen car. Part of that is also I think Briscoe kind of deserves a little more credit for how well he's done at blocking people. Did it at Pocono, and then how well he's done at aero blocking. So I think there is a certain skill set to it. There is a form to it, and I think Briscoe did a really good job. But I also wish Tyler Reddick took a couple of lines different there. But man, that would have been nice to see him win. But again, Tyler Reddick, he's a team that's rounding into form. He opened up at 10-1, which I thought was a little too expensive, but since like I said, all those other favorites opened at 8-1, 7-1, and the money came in on them, Tyler Reddick's gone back to 14-1 at most places. Actually opened at 71 at Circa, and that's someone who I actually have placed money on. I have placed a bet on Tyler Reddick already at that 14-1. I think that's a really good price. So 2023 was able to move through the field. He spun on like the first lap. I think it was the first lap, maybe even the first turn. He literally got spun out, so that put him behind the 8 ball. He was able to easily work his way back through the back half of the field, get to the top 15. Struggled a little bit getting through the top 10, kind of hung out in that range. Used some strategy, two tire stop to get into the top 5. Fell back to 7th on the run, and then his brakes went. So, not the day they were looking for there. But 2024, he struggled in the first half of that race, and he was stuck in the back, stuck in the low 20s, 22nd, 23rd. Couldn't get any movement. But the end of the race, the last stage, when they had that long run, Tyler Reddick had a really good car, and he worked his way. I think he ended up finishing 4th. So basically worked his way up into the top 10, close to the top 5. Got the top 5 with the struggles that the leaders had early on. And man, he had a good car. And so the way that 2311 looks right now, and the way that specifically Tyler Reddick is just, he's inching closer. Like, he has the speed now that he didn't have at the beginning of the year. And now he has, that car underneath him where he can move. And I think 14-1 is a really good price for Tyler Reddick. With where he finished at Darlington and how they qualified, and with the metric, he's going to be one of the last guys going out. I think that car is usually good at qualifying. He's going to qualify in the top 10. I don't think that 14-1 is going to be there. I think it'll go back to 10-1, and if practice looks really good, then it could be even shorter. So I'm looking for that closing line value on Tyler Reddick. Fortunately, with Bubba, I think he opened at 30-1. I think at MGN that was the best price, and I think that would have been worth half a unit or maybe a third of a unit. But he's knocked back down. I think his best price is 25-1. I would rather wait and see with his history here. He just hasn't been very good at Gateway, and even with all the momentum that team has, I wouldn't want to place any bets yet on him. So another guy, we'll talk about RFK. I think they had a very disappointing Darlington. I think they would have liked much better. Obviously, a disappointing year with no drivers in the playoffs. Brad K, again, hasn't had a strong year, but you've seen glimpses of the speed and the potential of that car. And they actually had a pretty fast car at Darlington, but what was it? I think it was a penalty on pit road, just bit them out of the race. Couldn't recover from that. Didn't have enough cautions to get their laps back in time. You look at Gateway, so 2023, he had engine trouble in like the first couple laps and he was just a limp dog running around the rest of the race. 2024, though, he had such a methodical drive. Car was fast and drove into the top three, and so he's one that I'm eyeing right now. I think he's about the same price around Bubba Wallace, 25-1, 3-1, top five. So looking at that, I think he's also plus money for a top 10, and again, sort of in the same area as like Kyle Busch. Is I can really trust. I really want to trust him, and I want to trust that they're going for a win. So they don't have as much pressure, but at the same time, just with what's happened with that team so far, I think that's a little too steep for a top 10 yet. So he's another one that I'm going to be watching, though. Whereas Chris Buescher on the opposite end, even though he's finished 12th and 14th in 2023 and 2024 at Gateway, I just haven't seen. I didn't see the speed in either of those races. He kind of, I don't want to say backed his way into those finishes, but that's kind of what happened. I mean, in 2024, he was running like 25th the whole race. So I'm not sure how he got into 14th, but I don't think that he's a fade right now. So maybe something changes during practice, but he's the one guy that I know he's run good at Phoenix, and I think he got the top 5 earlier in the year. But again, just the form that team's in, and the price that they're at, I don't like him for any pre-practice bets. Now Ryan Preece, on the other hand, I think this track lends itself to his type of style. He opened at 8-1. I put a little more than 1/10 of a unit on that at ESPN. That price is gone. It's at like 55 or 60-1 at most places now. So we'll get, at least it looks good so far. I mean, they could have a bad practice, and again, they're going early in qualifying, so maybe that price comes back. But I feel like it was worth a flyer to bet on that with how good Brad K was last year, with how successful Brad K and Ryan Preece were at Iowa, running the same tire. Again, Ryan Preece, this is his type of track. Mr. Consistent, I think 12 top 15s in the past 16 races, kind of a top 10 machine. Right now he's at plus 240, I think, at FanDuel. I can't play too much there, but really like plus 200 to plus 240 everywhere. And so that's one that I'm really eyeing right now. I would have liked to seen maybe a little better for top 5, like 8-1, 9-1, or if we were really lucky, 10-1. But those prices aren't there. He's at 6 or 7. But he's kind of one that I'm really looking at from RFK. Is you really get the most bang for your buck, and he's really been the most consistent driver this year for that team. So I think he's one that I'm going to continue watching closely. I have that small outright on him, but yeah, he's, I think, the better option, or the best option of those 3 drivers. And so we'll see if I end up committing before practice Saturday on that price, but it may be gone. I think other people may have the same thought process. Obviously, that happened with Ryan Preece already getting knocked down on his outright, but yeah, he's, I think, the best option for that team. Carson Hocevar. So he actually had his first start in this race in 2023. Was driving the number 7 car for Corey LaJoie, who was then driving for Chase Elliott because Chase Elliott was a bit naughty in the Coke 600 and right rear Denny Hamlin. So can't say it wasn't deserved, but obviously right rearing is, well, no one really deserves to get right reared. But Denny Hamlin did race him pretty hard, and the rest is it. It was a rightful suspension, 1 race suspension. You don't want to see right rearing, but being someone that's not the biggest fan of Denny Hamlin, at least as a driver, oh well, who cares if he gets wrecked? So where was I? Carson Hocevar, that's where I was. So he was driving that 7 car, started in like the 30th place, way back in the field, and he was actually putting on a really good show. He was impressive. He was driving his way into the top 15, was outperforming Corey LaJoie and Hendrick Equipment, and looked really good before his brake rotors failed. I think it was the first stage or maybe beginning of the second stage. 2024, driving for Spire, he drove to the top 10 and he got there on pace, drove through the field. So he's one that I think he's the books are aware of it, and obviously I think a lot of people, with some of the performances that Carson Hocevar had through the beginning of the season, he's been probably somewhat popular to bet, but hasn't had results. And so again, I think he's sitting at like 35-1 or 40-1 outright. I think he opened up at 50-1 in a couple places. But again, sort of the same line of thinking. Qualifying early kind of hurt them at Darlington. I think that qualifying early again at Gateway will, even though he finished top 10 at Darlington, but didn't qualify well, I think that qualifying early will not be beneficial, and maybe that price increases. And that's someone that I want to look at, at practice and after qualifying, and hopefully that price does get better, and he's someone that I would like to target, because I think that, this is a track that he got his first start at, drove really well the first start, really well last year. I think he's going to be pretty successful this weekend, and maybe could be in contention. Maybe he can play spoiler at this type of track. So we'll see. And then Justin Haley, his teammate as well, has also been pretty consistent here, has gotten two top 15s, finished 16th, and last year finished 9th in the Rick Ware racing car. And so Justin Haley has definitely not had the year that he's looking for, and maybe out of a ride by the end of this year. So again, that team just not in really good form. Had a good race at Daytona. Would have really been a boost for them to make the playoffs. Also, wouldn't have really wanted to see that, because I think it's better to have Bowman and Reddick in here rather than Haley. But this is a good track for him. He has a good track record here. Spire, at least that 7 team, has just not been fast all year. And some places have him like ridiculous price for a top 10, like plus 350, which that's not right either. But I think you can get him for 10-1 in a couple places for a top 10. And again, same thing with Hocevar. Probably wait and see what qualifying does, but see how that car even is too during practice. But he could be someone where if that price, because he qualifies poorly and that price does get better, then yeah, maybe we'll target him. Austin Cindric, again, obviously won last year. Penske had 3 fast cars, but wasn't really too strong in 2023. And, I was kind of heavy on him last week. I saw his practice data. I thought that car was really good on the long run. All the Penske cars were. And I really thought they would perform better, but, obviously they didn't. Again, didn't have the best performance on pit road. Could have helped with a few positions here, a few positions there, which maybe made a difference in the top 10. The car wasn't really good in the middle of the race, but it got better at the end, and he was able to get 12th, I think. but really not as good of a performance as I expected. And again, just the way NASCAR goes, like you look at Ryan Blaney and how dominant he was at Darlington in the spring, and you come to the track again for the Southern 500, and that car is just nowhere near the class of the field like it was in the spring. And that's kind of the way it goes. You know, everyone catches up. So there's always progression with how to improve the performance of the car, and you can't just come back with the same setup to the track like you did last race or last year and expect to perform the same. And so, you know, Penske was really good last year, and this is again similar to Phoenix, really good track for them. But I don't know how I feel about Cindric. I don't like his price below 20-1, and I don't really want to play that price so expensively because he was good last year, but 2023 was really not a good race for him. I think he ended up still with a decent finish right outside the top 10, but I think there are better plays, better value than Austin Cindric this week. And then we'll go through Hendrick here. I mean, really bad performance last week for Hendrick. Really bad, and probably, again, disappointing, similar to RFK. They could potentially have two drivers. I don't think Kyle Larson or William Byron missed the cutoff, but I think Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott are in real danger. And Chase Elliott, I think, actually, I mean, he's been one of the better performers this year, very consistent, won at Atlanta, but that team has been in a bit of a rut, and that rut just seems to get deeper, and Chase Elliott just doesn't seem to have any confidence, doesn't seem happy right now, and Gateway's not a good track. Now, one thing that I didn't mention at the beginning here, but there was a tire test here, and Kyle Larson was part of it, along with Eric Jones and Brad Keselowski, one driver from each manufacturer. And so maybe Hendrick learned something from that with Larson doing the tire test. So again, Larson had a pretty good car in 2023, has actually finished pretty solidly at Gateway, but definitely has not been, you know, dominant speed or even top 5 speed. And William Byron, you know, he had a good car in 2023. He was really the only Hendrick driver in the top 10 for the first half of the race, but he was arguably actually one of the best heading into stage 2, and then they had a bad pit stop, lost a few spots, had to restart like 6th or 7th, had a really bad restart, fell back into the pack, and couldn't pass anyone once he was in the dirty air, which is sometimes what happens with William Byron. Is he's out front so much that at certain tracks or certain races, and then you know, they're adjusting the car for being out front. He gets caught in the back of the pack, and the car just doesn't handle well. And again, the same thing happened in 2024. He started in the top 10. Was in the front for the first half of the stage, or first stage. He got back in traffic. I can't remember exactly how, but just didn't really do much the rest of the race. And so, you know, Hendrick as a whole, don't really want to touch them. The only one is maybe Kyle Larson. I mean, I don't know how much the tire test, I think the tire test helped, but I don't know how much value to really put on that. And so, you know, Kyle Larson's odds has obviously gone up since the Open. He's opened at like 7-1. He's probably like 8 to 9 to 1 in most places, due to money coming in on Blaney, Bell, and Hamlin. But I don't know if I want to really touch anyone from Hendrick before practice and qualifying. So, with that said, I think that's all I really wanted to go through. I know that was a lot. We're already approaching 40 minutes here. I was expecting to take a half hour total for this video, but a few other quick notes to touch on for some other teams. Legacy, obviously really good last week. Didn't really show too much speed in 2023 or 2024. I think Eric Jones had a decent finish, top 15 somewhere in there, but new team, new performance. I think they're going to be a little expensive due to recency bias from the success of last week. Again, Eric Jones being in the tire test. There's someone that I would just wait and see. Don't really think there's anything that's a must-hit out there right now. And then front row, Michael McDowell was actually really the leader for starting the two-tire strategy in 2023, and kept on taking two tires and rode that to the top 10, rode that strategy to the top 10, and obviously qualified on the pole last year, which was not the type of track he was. He had a lot of poles last year. Front row, he put the front row in Front Row Motorsports, but that was one of the tracks where they was not in the same archetype as the super speedways or even the mile and a halves, and so didn't have a good race though. So he got back in traffic too by the end of stage one. Finished second in stage one. Didn't have a good pit stop, and I think he finished like 29th or 30th. So really fell off there. But Todd Gilliland actually had top 15s both years, and so that's a team that's really struggling right now. I was really high on Front Row last week. I thought one of them would get a top 10. Zane Smith and Noah Gragson were knocking right there. Especially Zane Smith. He had the penalty at the beginning. That car and speed would have probably been able to finish in the top 10. But Gillen's easily been the most disappointing performer for Front Row, I think, this year. But, again, right now he's 19-1. I don't know how much better the price can get from there for a top 10. So maybe that's worth like a quarter of a unit flyer. Same thing with going back to Stenhouse, but yeah, unfortunately I can't get too much on that. So I think I'll avoid it for now. Maybe they're bad in qualifying, and there's something in the practice data that says maybe there's a chance, and a few other books that I can get more down on increase their odds. But yeah, that may be someone to take a flyer on right now. But other than that, I wouldn't really touch Front Row. Don't know how much I would really trust that team. So that concludes about what I wanted to go over for the Cup race here. I'll try and briefly touch on Xfinity. There isn't too much to go over. Like I alluded to at the beginning of the video, I mentioned the two bets that I made on Cup, just Tyler Reddick outright, Preece outright so far. That's what I have. I share all my bets immediately as soon as I place them in the Sharp Bunny Discord. So if you want to keep tailing, again, another reason to get the free membership. But anyways, I do have one other Xfinity bet that I shared. And again, new track. So Zilich and Allgaier are obviously going to be favorites with how just unbelievable Zilich has been. And with, again, being sort of a flat track similar to Phoenix, Allgaier is going to always be favorite in that conversation, along with Eric Almirola, who's back in the 19 this week, and is, again, another guy. He won at Phoenix, going to be in contention at this type of track. But when I look at those teams, and I think about just Gibbs. I go back to Gibbs and Xfinity too. I think it's another good track for them, or it will be a good track for them. And the guy that right now is actually looking at that had the I think most optimum price was Brandon Jones. He's at 22-1. I placed that outright for half a unit, and then I hit his top five for a little over 2 units at about plus 275. And Taylor Gray actually has better odds with him, which on one hand I can understand with maybe the recent performance of Taylor Gray, but also Brandon Jones. I mean, he's shown speed all year. You go back to Iowa, he had top 3 car. He finished second in stage 2. I think he was well on his way to the top 5, and he had a penalty on pit road, so I had to start in the back of the field at the beginning of stage 3. Use some strategy, I think 2 tires or no tires, to get back into the top, get on the front row for the restart. Obviously, Allgaier spun on that restart. He lost a lot of spots to some of the main contenders. But then Brandon Jones was able to hold into the top 5 for a few laps. I don't know if it would have lasted, but then I think Matt DiBenedetto ran into the back of someone, maybe Corey Day, spread fluid on the track. NASCAR, being the wonderful and always correct sanctioning body that they are, decided not to throw a caution. Brandon Jones got high in the turn 1 and 2 and spun out, and that was kind of the end of his day. But few other tracks. I mean, Indianapolis, running top 5, got into, I think, the Allgaier wreck. He's just been really unlucky this summer, but he's had speed. Even last week at Portland, he was going to finish top 10. He had a top 10 car. He was battling a lot with Jack Perkins in there in the 7th to 8th spot for a lot of the day. And then I forget who spun out at the last corner, but he got in that whole kerfuffle, and uh, he got the worst of it, got knocked off the track, and again had a sub 20 day. So when I look at Gibbs, and obviously, I think the speed that they'll have at this track, you can maybe look at Sawalich too. I'm still thinking about it, but his strength has been road courses so far this year. I haven't seen as much on the ovals, but you look at Brandon Jones and the speed that he's had, and what Gibbs can bring to this track. I think that's going to be a bet that closes with pretty good value by the time practice and qualifying are over. So really high on Brandon Jones this week. Think that top 5 is very doable, especially with no other Cup drivers in the field. So looking for Gibbs to be successful, and obviously taking the value on Brandon Jones. Not going to play any of the other favorites, top 3 favorites. Those are a little too steep of a price. Maybe Almirola at 4-1. Maybe if that gets to 5-1. He's just so good at in an Xfinity car when he drives that 19 for Gibbs. So maybe if that price gets better, then throw a unit maybe, or over a unit on that. And then a couple other guys looking at. I just had the gut feeling that Jesse Love is going to have a good weekend. He did well at Iowa. RCR is not as good at Phoenix, and maybe that puts some reservations or doubts in people's minds for how well they'll do at Gateway. Didn't like Jesse Love opening at 10-1. I was hoping for something a little more in the teens, or even 13 or 12, or 13 is a teen, but maybe even 12-1 I would bite. Not sure about 10-1 yet, but I just have a gut feeling. I look at, last time they went to a new track, maybe that's kind of like the Joey Logano factor of new tracks, and they went to Rockingham, and Jesse Love crossed the finish line first and finished last due to his disqualification. But I think he's an underrated talent. Maybe, I don't know if underrated is the right word, but with all the attention that Zilich is getting, I think it's sometimes forgotten that Jesse Love has a pretty good skill set too. Obviously always strong at super speedway with the RCR car, but demonstrates a lot of racing craft at really all the types of tracks. And so he's someone that I'm going to be watching closely and see what how he performs in practice and qualifying. Maybe even hit something before the race. And then the other driver that I'm really looking at is Sam Mayer. Obviously won it at Iowa, and I think, again, this is kind of a track that I think he can excel at. Haas just hasn't been as fast all year. Thought maybe they were hitting their stride at Iowa. Didn't get to watch Xfinity and Daytona, and wasn't really as much of a contender as maybe you'd expect them to be at Portland. But I think Sam Mayer at 12-1, that might be something that I may be betting. I feel like that almost him and Jesse Love should maybe switch prices there, and that's the way maybe I would put it out. But Sam Mayer at 12-1, that may be something that I'm really taking a good look at. But he's another one where, again, I think this is a track that they could excel at. But it's tough to say with it being a new track. Don't want to overexpose myself before Xfinity cars even hit the track, and not be able to maneuver a better card. So this is where I'm at right now. I'm excited for this weekend, especially after watching the 2024 race. Xfinity is always great racing, but if this race is like 2024, and with it being a playoff race, it could be a really good race, really highly rated race. So again, I think it'll be a good weekend, and really excited that I was able to get to watch some of the old races from the past couple years here. Think it'll hopefully help even more, but there'll be more bets to come, and maybe I'll even have a shorter video to cover practice and qualifying on Saturday night. We'll see what my time limits allow, but would like to start getting in the habit of doing this. So again, I'd appreciate if you liked, commented, gave any feedback, both positive and negative. Obviously, this is my first video, so a lot of feedback will be helpful. And then subscribing too. And again, link below for Sharp Money. We'll always plug them. Has helped turn me into a profitable bettor. Has helped make me a better NASCAR bettor with not even having any NASCAR bots or content in that Discord, but just learning to understand the markets and learning to understand how to blend that into your predictions as well. Really super helpful. So use that link below. Use the code JR100. You can get a free month. You can bet on other sports. Football starting. There's going to be a lot of football action. A lot of guys that just have extremely strong knowledge of different sports and different niches in sports. So football is going to be a fun one. Baseball is still winding down. NBA, the bot loves NBA. I think NBA was probably my most profitable sport with the main bot. So a lot of exciting opportunities. This is the best time to start a free trial, get your month, make some money, cover your monthly subscription for the rest of the time, learn to be a profitable bettor, and yeah, come be successful with NASCAR as well. So thank you guys. Appreciate the time. And yeah, looking forward to having more content like this. So take care, everyone.